This is a Google Pixel 5 and I've been using it for around, I don't know, like 2 months now? That's pretty freaking long. And this could be one of the most important phones in the world to do 2-month reviews with, or at least long-term tests. Why? Well, the Google Pixel 5 has a Snapdragon 765 chipset inside, as opposed to an 8 series chip. What does that mean though? It's the first Google phone that's a flagship to launch without a flagship chip. The result? A phone that may perform really well in a week, which is roughly the amount of time most reviewers take to review phones. But it may not perform quite so well after about a month or two, which is exactly why I'm here. The Google Pixel 5 has a 6-inch screen. It's a really cute phone, cute as a button with uniform bezels on either side, those squircly corners, and of course, the 90Hz OLED display is a beautiful canvas for a picture of my cat, Max. It's also fun, available in available in color, Sorta Sage, and black as well. The Sorta Sage color is pretty much a few different colors speckled in one. It looks kind of like plastic and it feels kind of like plastic, but there's a lot more than plastic going on here. It's an aluminium frame with a bio-resin coating. Sounds weird, but it's kind of worth it because you've got this metal rigidity that feels solid, and you've got wireless charging because there's a little cutout where this bioresin cuts through the metal to enable wireless charging. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. You don't have that very kind of breakable glass back that you've got in iPhones, for example, and pretty much most other phones, but you do have wireless charging here. What's even better about the Pixel 5 is obviously you've got the Google experience inside and the Google cameras. A month and a half in, I say most of what I've loved about this phone from the offset. It's fun, cute looks, it's stable day-to-day performance, and it's really reliable camera still applies. But there are a few things that maybe aren't so great. I definitely wouldn't recommend this phone to a gamer, and it isn't just down to the fact that it hasn't got a flagship chip in it, it's down to real world limitations when playing games like Genshin Impact and wanting to ramp those graphics settings all the way up. This is going to be a pretty conversational review, and in turn there isn't going to be oodles of b-roll, but what you will get is liberty to throw any questions you want in the comments section below and request b-roll there, and I can record something else in the future. This, by the way, is all being filmed on a Canon R6. Right, back to this phone. 6 inches of display, punch hole camera in the top, 90Hz refresh rate, OLED technology. It's a beauty. It really is a gorgeous phone. Full HD Plus is as sharp as it needs to be, 432 pixels per inch, and it's all protected by Corning Gorilla Glass 6. Inside you've got Android 11 looking good, powered by that Snapdragon 765G, which is like the mid-range 5G processor of 2020. And it's probably one of the only good things about 2020, because it means 5G is coming to a lower price point than it had prior, and the user experience is nice, solid, and reliable. That 90Hz screen is such a cool party trick. The manufacturers are deploying on low power chips to make them feel faster than they are, and by geez, on the Pixel 5 it works really well. Down at the base you've got the USB-C port right there, and there's a speaker as well. It's a stereo speaker phone, so it sounds bigger than it looks. Right hand side you've got power button. Now the power button is kind of a metallic finished power button, and you've got a volume rocker too. On the left hand side is a SIM slot right there, and it is just a nano SIM slot, no SD card support here, and there's 128 gigabytes of storage. One area that I was pretty freaking bummed about was you don't have an in-display fingerprint scanner. Instead, the fingerprint scanner is around the back. Very retro, and not necessarily in a good way. This phone's on a surface, you can't just put your finger on it and unlock it. You have to pick it up a little bit or punch in your code. And you could use a face unlocky type system, but with a not that secure face unlock single front camera, unlike older Pixels, which also wasn't that secure because it unlocked your phone with your eyes closed. The Google Pixel 5's rear fingerprint scanner is definitely one of the lower points, and indeed that translates to real-world use, but there are still enough highlights here to make it kind of bearable. I'm going to kick off with, like I said, that design, that bioresin. Everything comes together to make it one of the cutest phones around, not only because of the picture of my cat, like I said, but also because it basically floats in the hand. I've got massive hands, 8mm thin phone, like 150 grams, super light, super comfortable to just whoosh around. I really like it. Pulling it out of my phone every day, out of my pocket every day, putting it into my pocket, I just hardly even feel it. And I miss that in a world of big phones. Apple and Google with the iPhone 12 mini and this phone are doing something very right. Where Google's doing something maybe a little bit righter is the battery life on here is pretty freaking good too. It's not a massive battery, 4080 milliamps, but with that mid-range power and that mid-range like screen resolution, etc., I'm getting decent performance, capping out at about rounding off at about 40% at the end of every day, which is impressive to all intents and purposes. That does change drastically the second I start firing up Disney Plus for hours on end because I'm on a Clone Wars binge, but that's to be expected of pretty much every phone. I will say the one area that really does deplete it quickly is gaming, so if you plan on gaming for ages, pack a charger. Otherwise, photo taking, general like streaming an episode here or there, you are very comfortable with full day use on this phone. And the speakers sound decent, not mind-blowing, but for a phone this thin and this small, really solid. The general swipes, taps, and day-to-day use 2 months in is really good as well. I don't get slowdown, and the 90Hz screen, like I said, makes it feel fast, but where I did notice slowdown specifically was gaming and when I'm doing like big batch processing tasks. So for example, if I'm batch processing a large number of images in Lightroom Mobile, that's when I'll be like, oh, do you know what? I do have a mid-range powered phone. I don't have a flagship powered phone. And fortunately, I don't do that stuff too often. I don't need to export movies on the go. I've got my computer for that, or I've got my iPad for that. But if I did, and I wanted to do loads of that kind of stuff, then I might be better off with a more powerful device. The camera is not an area I feel the pinch. Having reviewed the Huawei Mate 40 Pro with its incredible zoom, and then come back to the Pixel 5, I don't feel like I'm kind of like just handicapped at all. I've got a reliable camera, ultra wide, and even the telephoto kind of digital zoom is pretty freaking decent. Like I said, just love the fact that it's a reliable camera. What does reliable mean? It means that even with a shaky hand, I can get some decent clarity on my pictures. It means that when I'm taking a photo of my cat, even when he's yawning, it still gets a decent shot. Generally speaking, I'm yet to kind of take a picture on the Pixel 5 and just be like, this is garbage. It's not the best noise handling, definitely not. There are areas it picks up noise worse than other phones, but it's probably the smartest camera phone I've used, just in terms of being reliable time after time after time. This photo, however, was not taken on a Pixel 5, just to clarify. It isn't quite this good, but still, it's an incredible camera phone. Where it drops the ball by comparison to some other phones is definitely video. It's not going to be the best 4K or full HD video shooter out there, but if you just want an incredible stills camera, then you want something that's a little bit more robust as a flagship experience than the Pixel 4a 5G. This is a phone to go all the way. In fact, I wouldn't even consider the 4a 5G here in the UK, where there's like £100 in it. For me, I'm a big wireless charging fan. The wireless charging is great here, and also so too is the general design, the 90Hz screen, etc. So that's definitely enough to swing me in the favor of the Pixel 5 versus 4a 5G. So what isn't quite so good about this phone? Well, I've touched on gaming. I definitely wouldn't recommend this to gamers. The phone gets quite warm when gaming, as many phones do, and the battery depletes pretty quickly, but more to the point, I don't get the smoothest experience when I'm gaming. Genshin Impact, maximum graphics settings, you do get slowdown, and I don't want slowdown. So if gaming is a big deal for you, get another phone that costs around the same price with a Snapdragon 865 chipset. And having said that, that isn't the only issue. There are a few other points that I really wish Google, or I hope Google addresses in upcoming software updates. And specifically, the wireless charging that activates when you plug in, or reverse wireless charging that activates when you plug in your Pixel 5 to charge. For anyone who doesn't know, plug in the Pixel 5, put it on the surface, and then the back becomes a wireless charger. That actually deactivates if it doesn't, well, it just deactivates for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's down to the fact it isn't getting quite a strong enough pull from whatever I'm charging, so I tend to plonk it down on the surface, and I'm just taking my watch off now, and I put my Huawei Watch GT2 Pro on here. And the result should be charging, and it is for the first like 5% or so, but unfortunately after around 5% of charge it just dies a death, and I really wish it didn't do that, because that's pretty much the only thing I would charge on the back of my phone. Other than that though, I've had an altogether stable experience with the Pixel 5 between the battery, the screen, the design, those reliable cameras which are great for everything perhaps other than video, which they're only really very good for. The Pixel 5 is a winner in my books, and yes, it's probably worth that hefty £599 price tag, in spite of the fact you can get a lot of smartphone for that when it comes to power. So if you're a gamer, look elsewhere. The Xiaomi Mi 10T Pro, for example, is a great alternative. So hope you've enjoyed this 2-month odd review with the Google Pixel 5. If you have, click that thumbs up button. I'm going to try and be posting more one take videos like this, and when I get a little bit more time, some more B-roll stuff too. Any questions about the Pixel 5 though, do fire them in the comments section below, and I will do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Bye.